So right up here, we've got our graphics guy put together this beautiful graphic of the games from week one, and then showing whether our picks were correct or not. Jack went 11-5, pretty good. Although we took them straight up, so you would hope that you'd hope that
Yeah,
we'd
yeah, you'd
do all
hope it's
right.
good.
Yeah, 11-5 is I think a respectable score. Straight up, I went 9-7. As you can see, quite a bit of red on this one. I want to highlight that I originally wanted to take the Saints in the Saints Titans game, and I ended up coming off of that pick. So that was a
I
little bit
thought you took the
disappointing.
Saints. Oh.
Yeah, I ended up at the last minute switching. But obviously, you had the upsets that no one really saw coming, like the Vikings losing and Seattle losing to the Rams. But then, Jack just really did better than me. He picked the Jets on the Monday night game. He took San Fran where I wanted to take the Steelers, and he took the Lions as well. So whereas I took the Chiefs. So um, kind of a tough start, but we're both above 500. I mean, you'd hope that
Yeah.
if we're picking them straight up. What do you think, Jack? Anything you have to add here?
Yeah. I'm looking on. I'm looking to end the season under 500. That would be really nice. But yeah, I mean, I think big reasons I think for this is taking Sanford over the Steelers. Don't I'm gonna be hating on that Steelers take of yours all season long.
Oh, jeez.
But I think the Jets pick working out is just one of those moments where you feel really good about it. I forgot I picked them.
And so here we got, after some technical difficulties, we've pulled up our 7-10 Sports Week 2 picks. So we've got all the games as well as, we've got Jack and Jared up there so that you can see. Frankly, a whole lot of the same picks this week. I think we're only differing on about 4 or 5 picks. And actually, I will say our graphics guy messed up the very first pick. Jack is taking the Eagles this week, but our graphics guy clearly not doing a great job. We're going to have to email him about that. So really, it's only, I think, we obviously just talked about Baltimore and Cincinnati. We disagree there. But
wait a second. Wait a second. We disagree on Packers Falcons as well. The graphics guy. I'm taking the Falcons in that game.
Oh man, the graphics guy,
aren't I?
What an absolute mess. So yeah, Jack's picks are just completely out of whack on here. So, but yeah, what do you got on the Falcons? Because you seem to be hot.
What's the pulse? What's the pulse I got my finger on?
Yeah,
pulse I got my finger on in this game. Wait, I was wrong. I did take the Packers. That's right. I forgot. It was the segue from that segment. I'm taking the Packers, but I want to talk about it. Okay, that's what it was. I want to talk about it. And that is, I think I would have called the Falcons against a lot of other teams. I'm calling the Packers. I think the Packers, schematically and everything, really match up well against the Falcons. And that's that. I think the Packers have a lot of talent in that front seven and are going to be able to shut down the run game, which was how, and their running backs, which was part of how the Falcons won last week against the Panthers. I know some analysts took the Panthers. I think this Falcons, and similarly, the Falcons front seven isn't great. They're not going to be able to shut down Aaron Jones and the other running back whose name I'm forgetting, who's also pretty good for the Packers. I don't think they're going to be able to contain the Packers. I think I like a lot of what the Falcons have, but I think the Packers are like the matchup from hell for them. I think just in where the Packers' strengths are, where the Falcons' strengths are, how they match up. I think so. I'm calling the Packers, but I think that it's a matchup thing. I think it's not just the Falcons not being good. There you go. I know weird hill to die on talking about it.
I underestimated the Falcons' run game, and I think that is something that is a dying breed, is like committing to the run, right? But my thing with it is, if you need to pass, can you pass? And that's my biggest concern there for Atlanta. Also, I said, I like Green Bay to win that division over the Lions. I predicted that, and I'll tell you what, that week one felt pretty good because they looked very excellent. I know it was against the Bears, but they looked very good, so I'm happy with that. Let's go to you. You got Giants in the bounce back game. What are we thinking there?
I got the Giants in the bounce back game. I mean, that is the Cardinals played above their pay grade, I would say, against the Commanders. We were expecting them to really roll over, but I think the Giants will bounce back a little bit. Do not think they're going to be good. Don't think they'll look good either. But I think the Cardinals will be pretty bad, and I think the Giants will just be that little bit better. I could also see them being totally mentally destroyed after Sunday night's game. But I think they're gonna have a little bit of a bounce back with the good coaching, with Coach Dayball, and yeah.
I will say, Arizona, going into the season, I thought that they could easily be 0-17, but actually, they gave the Commanders a shot, and I think the Giants will be worse than the Commanders this year. So that's why I'm picking Arizona this week. They're going to get a dub, and the Giants are going to be in full blow this up mode after this week. Because it won't be as bad as the Dallas game, but it's going to be a loss. So I'll take that.
Yeah, it's going to feel just as bad losing against the Cardinals.
What do we got here? You're going to go with the Commanders.
I'm going with the Commanders. They did not play up to snuff, I would say, against the Cardinals, but it's a take I had before. I think I called them with the 7 seed making the playoffs. I'm gonna have to ride that at least until I see more to convince me otherwise. I think the team still has a lot of talent on it overall. I think Sam Howell. It's going to be tough for him because he's going to be playing as what I'm expecting to be a pretty good Broncos defense if it continues from years past. But I think he's gonna get to have some good practice this game, but I think this maybe is more about being down on the Broncos, especially them losing to the Raiders. It's more about that, I think, for me.
I did pick the Raiders last week, but I have to say, it is still challenging to take the Broncos. I was just so flabbergasted by the Commanders' performance that I have a hard time picking them. Even though they won, I felt like they lost. And Denver could have easily, beat the Raiders. So before we get into the big one, as you being a Patriots fan, let's just quickly hit on. Listen. These picks are close to what I was thinking going into the season. I actually thought the Lions could beat the Seahawks a couple of weeks ago, looking into the season. So, especially based off the performance of week 1, I'm going to take the Lions, although I kind of wanted to take the Seahawks. This one, I would have for sure thought the Steelers would beat the Browns. Now, week 1 would make you think the opposite, but I'm going to have faith that a well-run team, a team that has not been under 500 ever with Mike Tomlin, is going to get a W here, especially because, the Browns didn't look fantastic. They look good defensively, but Deshaun Watson didn't look great. Obviously, the Steelers had all sorts of problems, but I don't think they're going to have the same sort of problems with the Browns offense as they did with the 49ers. So I'm taking the Steelers there.
Yeah, I'm taking the Browns here because I think they played pretty well on defense against the Bengals. Of course, part of that I think is also the Bengals, like the fault of the Bengals team overall. But I liked what I saw on defense and with the run game. Of course, Nick Chubb has been great for a while. And I'm going to take that. Part of this is more Steelers doubt. I know that's maybe might be a common trend through a lot of my takes throughout this episode. And that is that I'm the Steelers really did not put on a good performance against the 49ers. Yes, I'm hot in the 49ers. 49ers was hot in them last season, hot in them now. Of course, I got to take that into consideration. But they still do not look good offensively. And I'm going to say some of those struggles are going to continue this week. And I think at some point, I don't know if Deshaun Watson's had a single good game yet. At some point, he's due for one. No one deserves it more than Deshaun Watson. At some point, he's got to have a good game. At some point, because they traded 3 first-round picks, paid him $250 million guaranteed. Still, I think even more guaranteed than Joe Burrow and so on. I actually don't know if that's true, but they paid him a ton of money, trade a bunch of picks. At some point, he's got to do something, and I think a Steelers team coming off a tough loss isn't the worst target for that to happen. More that divisional rivalry stuff. That being said, I don't know if there's some wacky matchup aspect to this I'm not aware of, but I'm going to ride with the Browns.
Fair enough. And I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, you know, for Miami to be taking the W against the Patriots. Obviously, you'd think the Patriots defense is going to be a little bit better than the Chargers, but especially with the way that the Patriots offense finished the game against the Eagles, it's hard to take the Patriots. I got Miami definitely in that game. Let's hear what a Pats homer has to say.
It's a great way to put it. I think here we go. Let me check if I got names. There we go. Yeah, I mean, for me, there's two big aspects to this. First of all, I'm going to get the more subjective analysis out of the way first, and that's going to be the that's going to be the the sort of homer sort of fan takes anything like that. That stuff, but also the Dolphins, like that might have been the best game of Tua's career, sort of thing. I don't think lightning strikes twice in the same place. I don't think it's going to be quite the same crazy performance as he had last year. I think just even forgetting who it's against, put him against, I don't know, the Giants. Put him against the Giants. I don't think you're getting a performance like that again. Even if you find a defense worse than the Chargers, don't think it's happening quite like that again. At least I'm not ever. I mean, 2 weeks in a row.
Not back to back.
Yeah, back to back. That's one aspect of it. I think similarly, to get to the matchup, I think the Patriots, even last year, played the Dolphins closer than you think. I think they went 1-on-1 last year. One of those games, of course, being without Tua. The game the Patriots won, I believe. So without Tua, it was against someone else, Skylar Thompson or Teddy Bridgewater, whoever it was. But even the other game, early in the season, Patriots lost that game, but that was in Miami. This game's not going to be in Miami. It's going to be in Foxborough. Sneak preview of the weather. Hurricane Lee is going to not going to get far enough in to affect too much there, but it's going to have rained very windy on Saturday night, so on. Yes, this is a Sunday night game. That won't affect it, but it's not going to be warm. It's not going to be no Miami sunny heat, whatever that 30-degree difference between the home and away benches on that game. Patriots always lose in Miami, but guess what? We're not in Miami. So I think the home field advantage is even bigger in this game than it is in many other situations. Or maybe the difference between being home versus away. I should phrase it that way. That's one aspect. And the second aspect, this Patriots secondary and defense as a whole, I think is miles better than the Chargers. Even if we want to say Chargers, Patriots are on the same level, I think Patriots are better. Even if let's say they're at the same level. Let's say the Patriots are bottom 10 team, like many analysts are putting them at. And I don't mean you. I know I often say that, like talking about you. No, like many people have put them bottom 10, sort of certainly bottom half, bottom 12. But I don't think anyone's going to call their defense bottom 12. This is going to be a very good defense, I think, compared to a terrible and historically terrible Chargers defense with bad coaching. So I think some of those aspects for me really push the Patriots up. And the second, maybe more important aspect is Vic Fangio, Broncos defensive coordinator. He's a big secondary defense guy, and they played relatively well in secondary against the Chargers. But the run defense, which is going to be the Patriots' bread and butter this game, like that, I think that's just a good matchup for the Patriots offensively. If there's one thing I think this team can do, and I have faith that they can do, it's going to be run the ball. I think they'll be able to run the ball decently, and in general, but especially against the Dolphins. I'll be curious to see if they have their two starting guards out. Both of their starting guards were out last week. Mike Onquenu, I think it's pronounced. One of the maybe top 5 Patriots players on the team was out last week, as well as Cole Strange, the rookie last week. Both guards are out, and that's obviously important in general, but important for the run game. I think if either of them are in, that will be very big for the run game, especially. And I think it's going to be close, but I'm going to take the Patriots maybe a 24-23, a 27-24, something in that range. Maybe less, 17-20. Yeah, 17. I like that, 17-20. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, if I had to put a score on it, I'm going to probably say 31-24. That might be generous. Maybe 31-17.
Pats are not scoring more than 20 points. Mark my words. They might score 20. They're not scoring worse. So you want to call it 31-20, 31-17.
Yeah, I'm going to call it.
Listen, I don't have faith in this team. I'm calling them to win, and I don't have faith in they'll score more
I'm
than
pushing
20.
back on you because this is one of those classic intersections of you've got a Dolphin doubter, okay, with a Patriots homer, and this is the game where it's intersecting, right? And now you think you can say, "Oh well, the Patriots always lose in Miami." Guess what? It's in it's in New England, right?
Yeah, it
And
is.
I did to say you made some interesting points about the Miami offense and weather, right? And because I do have concerns long term about this offense, but it's not going to be, even if it's raining, I guess that could be a concern. But, besides, it's not like it's going to be freezing in Foxborough this weekend, right? So it's not like, the actual matchup may actually play better for Miami because they don't have to go to Foxborough when it's super cold in the winter and they get to play in Miami where it's going to be milder. So it
True.
actually could be advantageous for them. But the other thing is you say, like, you don't believe Tua can do this performance again. It's like you didn't watch last year. Tua picked up right where he left off post or pre-concussion. He had games like this with Tyreek Hill last year, and it's the doubters who like to forget that he was looking like this already, and now he looks even better. It's just an interesting combo we have here.
Do I have to say it, Jared?
Go ahead, say it.
Turn the ball over. Sorry. Funniest nickname I've ever seen. But yeah, I think he'll play well. But we could go on this all day. But I think the Patriots secondary is much improved over compared to last year in drafting Christian Gonzalez, who played pretty well for the most part. Not perfect, but pretty well last week against good receivers. It's not like he had to go up against the Texans, whoever is on that receiving core. He went against the Eagles receiving core as his first game. I think that'll be big for shutting down Tyreek Hill. Of course, they also have Jalen Waddle. So it's a tough thing to win. I'll be honest.
Listen,
but
the thing is, one of us will be right, and we'll talk about it next week on 710
I hope
Sports.
it's me.